you guys. How are you? How are you? How are you? Listen, I wanted to follow up with a overview and introduction to the nonprofit startup guide. I created this guide as a one-stop resource for everything that you need to know about the nonprofit organization, the entire landscape of the organization. So I wanted to just record this video to give you an opportunity to see what's in it, and to encourage you to consider using it as your roadmap, as your guide, as it were, to starting, sustaining, and leading your nonprofit organization. So I want to share with you what's inside of it, okay? This is an overview of what's inside the guide. We talk about in chapter 1, understanding what the nonprofit is, the definition of a nonprofit, the different types of nonprofit organization, the mission, the vision, the purpose, and really go into what are these elements used for. These elements are largely used to help you raise money, not just to have them on paper. Okay. And I'll go into that in just a minute. Chapter 2 goes into the incorporation process, your tax exempt status, your IRS requirements, the compliance with state regulations, your board governance and responsibilities. Chapter 3 is about planning and strategy, developing a strategic plan for the organization, right? Organizationally planning on how your organization is going to grow, planning on how your organization prioritize is its need, and putting the plan around achieving those priorities. All right. That's what the strategic plan is all about. Setting goals and objectives, your program development and evaluation. And again, those are items and areas that are used to help raise money. So that's why that's important. Chapter 4 talks about fundraising basics, understanding fundraising from, I think I put in here 10 streams of revenue. 10 streams of revenue, creating a fundraising plan, cultivating donors and supporters, how to find donors, how do you engage donors, what are the reasons that donors would give is what's covered in chapter 4. And then there's certain grant writing tips. Chapter 5, we talk about your budget, we talk about financial reporting, all of the fiscal management, managing cash flow are areas that we cover in chapter 5. In chapter 6, we talk about compelling stories, your brand messages, your social media, your online presence, your public relations strategies. Chapter 7, we talk about human resources, your volunteer management, coming up with how to hire contractors, job descriptions, training your volunteers, retaining your volunteers, employee policies and procedures, and the like. Chapter 8, we talk about technology and operations. Chapter 9, we talk about sustainability and growth. That also means building your partnerships and your collaborations. How do you find partners and collaborations? How do you negotiate the contracts for those partners and collaborators, scaling your program and your program impact? And succession planning. What's succession planning? Succession planning is when you decide to retire, how you're going to turn the organization over. Chapter 10, we talk about resources, websites, and other books that are going to help with your professional development and networking tips. All right. So we want to go into it. This is just the overview. We start here by talking about what is a nonprofit. A nonprofit is a business. A nonprofit is a business. And it says here, the nonprofit, also known as a not-for-profit, is an entity that operates for the purpose other than generating profit. Now, what is profit? Profit is anything over and above the operations and the revenue is profit. All right. So instead, nonprofits pursue specific missions and objectives aimed at benefiting the public, community, or public causes. Unlike for-profit businesses, right? Unlike for-profit businesses, nonprofits do not distribute profits to owners or stakeholders. Instead, this business, the nonprofit business, reinvests any surplus revenue back into their program and services to further their mission. What does that mean? That means that you should have a profit or that you should have money for operations, right? Surplus means money. to cover your operations. And so many people are starting their nonprofit organization, not understanding that it's a business, not putting together the plans, the strategies, the systems to generate the money to operate. And thus, it's a lot of you then are funding everything out of your own pocket. Why? Because you didn't set up the business to raise money. You didn't prioritize raising the money to operate. You did not put together the plan to raise the money to operate. You may not know how, right? And as a result, your nonprofit is underfunded, not able to operate, or solely funded by you or the founder. Okay. So, again, this guide was created to help you really understand what is the nonprofit, what is everything that you need to know about the nonprofit business in one place, right? So now you don't have to search all these other sites. Everything is in one place that you need to know. We go into the different types of nonprofits here. We talk about the mission, the vision, and the purpose. Why is this important? This is important because your mission, your vision, your purpose is what attracts, it's what introduces, it's what entices, educates, inspires your donors. So this is language that is important to help you raise money. It's important to help you to introduce what you do. What is a mission? The mission is your core purpose or reason for existence. Why is that important? That's important to the donor and the funder, right? It defines what the organization does, whom it serves, and the impact it seeks to achieve. This is why having a well-crafted mission statement, clear, concise, and inspiring, that guides the organization's actions and decisions, as well as introduces who you are to the community. Let me give you an example. Here I've put, what does the mission statement look and how is it used? How is it used to attract, to introduce who you are, right? When you are out in those meetings, those networking meetings, and the person asks you, so tell me about your organization, tell me who you are, right? The purpose is what you say right here. I put the words, I put it, all you have to do is modify it with your information, but this is the example of how it's used. Hello, my name is, I'm the executive director of. The purpose of our organization is to provide support and assistance to homeless veterans, empowering them to rebuild their lives with dignity and respect. Our mission is to address the unique needs of homeless veterans by offering shelter, counseling, job training, and access to essential services. Through a comprehensive approach, we strive to help veterans transition from homelessness to stable and independent living. Now, I want you guys to hear that in the mission statement, it speaks about your impact, right? The impact of what you do. And that is what your funders fund. Your funders fund the impact of what you do, the result of what you do, not the activities of what you do, right? What are the activities here? Offering shelter, that's activity. Counseling, that's activity. Job training, that's activity. Access to essential services, those are all activities. But your donors and your funders are interested in funding the result of those activities. That's the impact, right? And so here it says, help veterans transition from homelessness to stable, independent living. That's the impact, stable, independent living. So utilizing these statements to educate, to inspire, to inform, to equip your organization to be able to articulate to the people who are not in it, your donors, your funders, your partners, your collaborators who are not in your organization, first they want to know, what is the impact that you guys are having? That's what we're supporting. They're funding the impact of what you do, not the activities of what you do. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you guys hear me say that all the time. Now, what does it look like when you're not able to articulate that? It looks like this. I started my nonprofit because, I'm really passionate about this work. And, I really believe that this is what I'm called to do. I know the Lord told me to do it. And, I went through the same thing that these people are going through. And I know what they're going through. I know what they're going through. I've been there. And so I just really want to help them. I just really want to be able to help them. And so I created my nonprofit, because I really wanted to help them and because I know what they're going through. I know what they're going through. And so our organization needs help. Our organization needs funding. And, I know I'm called to do this work. I know I'm called to do this work. And I know that this is the important work. Now I want you guys to hear the difference. Is the donor going to fund that? Or is the donor going to fund? Our mission is to address the unique needs of homeless veterans by offering shelter, counseling, job training, and access to essential services. Through a comprehensive approach, we strive to help veterans transition from homelessness to stable, independent living. What is fundraising? Fundraising is being able to articulate what you do and why what you do is important. That's fundraising. Fundraising is communication. And many of you are struggling with articulating the impact of what you do. You're very versed, and sometimes uncomfortable in the passion for what you do, but your funders don't fund passion. They're not attracted to, they're not interested in, they're not inspired by your passion. They're inspired by understanding what is the result, what is the outcome, what is the solution that your organization is asking us to support, because that is what motivates them to fund you. All right. So I put this example here as a script to help you do that. All right. Chapter 2, we talk about the legal and regulatory considerations. We talk about drafting your articles of incorporation. We talk about the roles and responsibilities of the board. We talk about the roles and responsibilities of the executive director. We talk about compliance, your state regulations, your board responsibilities. We talk about questions to ask prospective board members, right? Many of you have invited your mother, your brother, your dog, your cat, your fish to be on your board. But I've put here 12 or actually 24 interview questions for people to ask that you're considering to be on your board. One of the questions is, why are you interested in serving on that board? What specific skills and expertise do you bring that would contribute to the success of our organization? Can you commit to attending regular board meetings? So I've given you questions to prepare you to ask prospective board members. Also, we have questions that your board members must be prepared to answer when they're out in the community. All right. When they're out in the community and they're at the board, they're at a networking event, and the person next to them says, "Tell me about your organization." Does many of your board members are not helping you to raise money because they don't know what to say. They don't know what to say, right? So I put here what they say. What does your organization do? This is the response. Our organization name, is dedicated to whatever your mission statement is. We describe the activities very much like I did in the mission part of this guide, right? To address whatever the specific issue and need are. So you now are equipping your board to have confident, clear conversations out in the community. And so I've provided for you here different questions to ask your board. Then I put in here steps to recruiting board members, the roles and responsibilities of the board, the president, the vice president, the treasurer, the program chair. Then I put also in here executive director, your role with the board. Then I put on here chapter 3, planning and strategy. We're talking about, we're on 19. There's 52 pages in this thing, actually. Developing a strategic plan for your organization, setting goals and objectives, putting together your program development and evaluation. Why is that important? The evaluation is what clarifies, what confirms, it's what assures the funder that what you're doing is working, that you in fact are meeting the need, right? So the program evaluation is very, very important as it relates to raising money, as it relates to building confidence and clarity with your donors and supporters. So everything that's within this guide is directed to help you to be clear about what you're doing and why what you're doing is important to the donor and the funder, right? It helps you to know what it is that you should have in place and know what the funder is expecting and needing to know from you as a nonprofit before they make the consideration to give to what you do. All right. Chapter 4, we talk about fundraising basics. We talk about 10 streams of revenue. I often talk about 8 streams, but in here I put 10. I talk about products and services, in kind. I also talk about cultivating your fundraising plan. And we talk about cultivating relationships with donors and supporters. We talk about grant writing tips. We talk about understanding the different types of funding categories, individual donors, corporate donors, foundations, major gifts, and such. We even talk about why people give. What motivates people to give to your organization? All right. So it's not just what you want to get, but also what is in it for the donor and the funder. Then we talk about strategies to attract new donors. And then we understand the fundraising methods as it relates to case for support. What's a case for support? When you are out in meetings and the donor and funder says, send me something in writing, really what they're asking for is a case for support. All right, that's what they're asking. Send me a case for support. We even have here how to get the first gift and then how to get the second gift. All right, we're on page 32 of 52. Then we're talking about chapter 5, financial management. We're talking here about budget development. We're talking about preparing your financial statements. We're talking about managing cash flow. We're talking about exploring cash flow solutions. We're talking about segregation of funds. That's really important, particularly if you are looking for federal grant dollars. We talk about direct costs, indirect costs, expenses, balancing your budget. Then in chapter 6, we're talking about marketing. We're talking about branding and your messaging. We're talking about social media. We're talking about public relations strategies. Chapter 7, we talk about human resources, hiring staff and contractors, creating volunteer programs, training and retaining volunteers, employee policies and procedures. Then in chapter 8, we talk about technology and operations. We talk about data management and being secure with your donors' information. In chapter 9, we talk about sustainability and growth, about building partners and collaborations, scaling your program and your program impact, creating a culture of innovation, succession planning. Again, that means when you turn over the organization to someone else. Chapter 10 are resources and learning, books, websites, and other resources. We also even have a glossary of terms that are important to the nonprofit sector. All right. So I have put together this guide. It's called the Nonprofit Startup Guide. All right. The Nonprofit Startup Guide. It was created for you in mind, where every concept that you need to know and understand about the nonprofit is in this guide. Navigating the nonprofit, the landscape of the nonprofit. This is a tool that I created for those of you that are unsure, unaware, and unclear. Many of you are struggling with funding your nonprofit, with growing your nonprofit, with sustaining your nonprofit because of lack of knowledge, right? I don't know, Jen. I don't know how to get board members. I don't know how to raise money. I don't know how to find donors. I don't know how. It's all the I don't knows that have you stuck. Everything that you need to know is in this guide about the nonprofit, all right? This is your roadmap. This is your book. This is your manual of everything that you need to know about the nonprofit organization in one place, okay? In one place. And so I am excited to offer it to you. I'm excited to give you insight into not only how to start a nonprofit, but everything that you need to know about how to run it, how to fund it, and how to sustain it. All right. Everything from the startup, from the definition of a nonprofit, all the way to when you retire and you want to give it away, and everything in between is in this guide. All right. I look forward to getting it in your hands, and I look forward to you not only having it, but using it and exceeding with it. All right. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, let me know. Go to my website if you would like to know more about our services, but please take advantage of this guide, put it in your hand, use it as a tool, and you and your board work to implement. I'll see you later. Bye.